What's up, guys? Thank you for joining me for this Bible study that we're going through in the book of Matthew right now. And we're going through, and each one of these chapters that we go through, each one of them have their own unique things that are going through this. And if you guys have been with me through all of them, give me a thumbs up, and also make sure to subscribe if this is your first time checking out this channel. Weekly, I've been going through the book of Matthew, and this week we are going through Matthew, I think it's 7 or 8 and 9. So here is the printout. You guys can do this. You can get the PDF or the printout. I have the PDF available as well, thanks to my wife getting this together for me. But you can go, the PDF, the link is in the description here below the video, and then you can go and print these out if you want. It's got word searches and different things along those lines that have to do with the book of Matthew. So it's pretty cool, free. Check it out. If you don't want to print it, you don't have to. The PDF is there, but it's a good resource to kind of help if you're doing like your own home study or something with the fam. Then that's what it's good for. My family's watching right now. Hopefully you guys are able to enjoy this. And I don't know, where you're at. I know a lot of people listening may already have a church they go to or a fellowship they go to. And even if you do have that already, this is a good place to fellowship with other people. I mean, we have, on Now You See TV. Now, not every subscriber to Now You See TV is going to be here in this kind of broadcast, because that's not really what we built this channel on. We built this channel on talking about all kinds of different topics that aren't really, they're related to this, but not necessarily the same type of things that draw people in. And so, but there are thousands, literally thousands of our community across the United States and across other countries as well. And if you want to kind of know more about that and maybe connect with more of them, some of them are on our Now You See TV fellowship group on Facebook, which you can get on there. And so anyways, like without, taking up a bunch of time here at the beginning, today when we're going through these chapters, you're going to see Jesus healing people. You're going to see him casting devils into pigs. You're going to see a number of just amazing things that are done here. And so remember, this is kind of the background that we have. In the first chapter, it tells about the genealogies. The second chapter, I think second and third maybe, it talks about the baptism of Jesus when he was, before that he was tempted by the devil. And then the dove descended. Then he was going around and instantly started going around healing people, casting demons out of people, and doing all these things and just stirring up the whole area. Everybody in the whole region is like, who is this guy? Like, he's everywhere. And then multitudes were coming to listen to him. The last couple of weeks, we went over the Sermon on the Mount, where we read the entire sermon that Jesus gave there to all of these people that had been following him. And this message is probably one of the most foundational and important messages that is in the Bible that we read through. And so now we're continuing on, and I've got up here, I thought I did, here we do, yeah. I've got up here the Bible Hub KJV Strong. So I just typed in like Matthew 8 KJV Strongs on Google, and then this pops up. And the thing I like about this is that if there's a word you're not too sure about, or if you just want to go through and word search like I like to do, just go through every word, and it'll give you in this case, because we're in the New Testament, the Greek, and it'll tell you a word study on that. That'll give you like the, different definitions, of that word, where it's used, and it'll have a bunch of different lexicons that are available to you to use in that. And there's other better ones out there, like the Sword is a good app you can download. There's other ones out there, but this one's easy, good, and it's good for sharing the screen here. So we're going to use this one. And so in verse 1 it says, "When he was come down from the mountain, great multitudes followed him, and behold, there came a leper and worshipped him, saying, Lord, if thou wilt, thou can make me clean. And Jesus put forth his hand and touched him, saying, I will, be thou clean. And immediately his leprosy was cleansed. And Jesus said unto him, See thou tell no man, but go thy way, show thyself to the priest, and offer the gift that Moses commanded for a testimony unto them." And so this is really interesting. He heals a man of leprosy, tells him to go give the sacrifice that is commanded according to Moses. And so he's going off. He's not supposed to tell anybody. So very cool. Then this is about the centurion. It says, "And when Jesus was entered into Capernaum, there came unto him a centurion, beseeched him, and saying, Lord, my servant lieth at home sick of the palsy, grievously tormented. And Jesus said unto him, I will come and heal him. The centurion answered and said, Lord, I am not worthy that thou shouldest come under my roof, but speak the word only, and my servant shall be healed. For I am a man under authority, having soldiers under me. And I say to this man, Go, and he goeth, and to another, Come, and he cometh, and to my servant, Do this, and he doeth it. When Jesus heard it, he marveled, and said unto him that followed, Verily I say unto you, I have not found so great faith, no, not in Israel. And I say unto you that many shall come from the east and the west, and shall sit down with Abraham and Isaac and Jacob into the kingdom of heaven. But the children of the kingdom shall be cast out into outer darkness. There shall be weeping and gnashing of teeth. And Jesus said unto the centurion, Go thy way, and as thou hast believed, so be it done unto thee. And his servant was healed in the self same hour. And that's an interesting one too, because this is another instance, which you'll find more of these as we go on, where Jesus basically says, like, it's not about the bloodline. It's not about if you're Israel, if you're not Israel. There's people that are going to come from the east. There's people that are going to come from the west, and they're going to be sitting with Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob there with me. And there's going to be people that are of the bloodline that are out weeping, and where there's weeping and gnashing of teeth. And so he proclaims this again to the people, and so then he told to Centurion, he told him to go his way. So let's go on here. Also, he healed his servant because of the faith. This is something too that I've noticed. And I'm not going to claim to be this crazy healer or anything along those lines. There have been instances where the laying of hands, we've seen people healed of like stage 4 cancer and casting of demons and all that. But almost every time in the Bible, not every time, but most of the times, there was a time where I remember Jesus saying, according to your faith, you're healed. So it has to do, the infirmities not only has to do with Jesus being able to heal, because he's able to heal anybody, but their faith in his ability to do what it is they asked him to do had a lot to do with it. So just to point that out. In verse 14, and it says, And when Jesus was come into Peter's house, he saw his wife's mother laid and sick of fever. And he touched her hand, and the fever left her, and she arose and ministered unto them. When the even was come, they brought unto him many that were possessed with devils. And he cast out the spirits with his word, and healed all that were sick, that it might be fulfilled which was spoken by Isaiah the prophet, saying, Himself took our infirmities, and bore our sicknesses. So very interesting. It refers to a prophecy in Isaiah, and I can't remember the exact prophecy of that. I want to say, I can't remember. You can look it up, though. A very great prophecy and I think that it might be there's a forbidden book that the rabbis don't allow to be read, and that might be from Isaiah 53 or something along those lines, but it's very interesting. And it's pretty awesome that he was able to just go around and do this, cast out devils. And you can just, like, in my head, and I'm imagining the backdrop to all this, and I know that it's kind of doesn't really matter to this story. It kind of does if you really think about it, but literally people all over the region were just wondering what's going on here. I can only imagine how many, probably millions, and I'm not joking when I say that, because imagine a big city, because this would have been a big thriving city area and important area at the time. And imagine in Louisville, Kentucky, or Orlando, there's this guy that's going around doing this, and people are traveling to listen to him speak. So this is all going on in the backdrop behind all this while he's doing these things. And it says in verse 18, Now when Jesus saw great multitudes about him, he gave commandment to depart unto the other side. And a certain scribe came and said unto him, Master, I will follow thee wherever thou goest. And Jesus said unto him, The foxes have holes, and the birds of the air have nests, but the Son of Man hath nowhere to lay his head. And another of his disciples said unto him, Lord, suffer me first to go and bury my father. But Jesus said unto him, Follow me, and let the dead bury their dead. So he basically told the man straight up, he's like, I don't even have a place to live. Like, if you're following me, you're willing to basically kind of give it up all, and let's do this. You got to understand, Jesus is on a mission when he's here on earth. He's not here to, build a family, build a bunch, build a house, build a job, or do, I mean, yeah, he did work and stuff like that, but he wasn't here to do that. He was here to build a kingdom. And this guy was talking about going to bury the family member. And a lot of people, when they read this, it doesn't really make a whole lot of sense to them. But you got to understand too, that when you have the living Son of God here, and you believe that, and if you really believe that, I guess everything else kind of fades away. And that's when, like, a lot of people believe that the closer you get to God, the more like the earthly things that really hurt us and bother us and stuff, it's not that we don't care and we don't have compassion and we don't worry about those things, but they start to matter less. It's an interesting verse nonetheless. There's a lot of different ways that people take this, but in verse 23, it says, And when he was entered into a ship, his disciples followed him, and behold, there arose a great tempest in the sea, insomuch that the ship was covered with waves, but he was asleep. And his disciples came to him and awoke him, saying, Lord, save us, we perish. And he said unto them, Why are ye fearful, O ye of little faith? Then he arose and rebuked the winds and the sea, and there was a great calm. But the men marveled, saying, What manner of man is this, that even the winds and the sea obeyed him? So that's crazy, man. I can only imagine what that would even be like, just to have that. I mean, in other books of the Bible, the other Gospels, some of them go into it a little bit more, but like to be able to command that, and they all saw this. This is why people were put to death over this. This is why people risked their lives to follow this man and do this. It wasn't because they just believed he was a smooth speaker. It was because this is the kind of stuff that they saw. I mean, amazing stuff. And then in verse 28, it says, And when he was come to the other side, into the country of Gergesenes, and I have no idea exactly if that's exactly how you say that or not, there he met two possessed with devils, coming out of the tombs, exceedingly fierce, so that no man might pass by that way. And behold, they cried out, saying, What have we to do with thee, Jesus, thou Son of God? Art thou come hither to torment us before the time? And there was a good way off from them a herd of many swine feeding. So the devils besought him, saying, If thou cast us out, suffer us to go away into the herd of swine. And he said unto them, Go. And when they were come out, they went into the herd of swine, and behold, the whole herd of swine ran violently down a steep place into the sea, and perished in the waters. And they that kept them fled, and went their way into the city, and told everything, and what was befallen to the possessed of the devils. And behold, the whole city came out to meet Jesus, and when they saw him, they besought him that he would depart out of their coasts. And so, amazing that, first, there's a lot here, but first off, the fact that these pigs wanted to go, or these devils wanted to go into the pigs. And there's a lot of interesting lore around pigs. Some people say they share a lot of our DNA, and they were manufactured hybrids of some sort, which is why people believe that the Bible calls them abominations. And they went off into the ocean, and this is just a reminder of like the marine kingdom idea, the idea that there's a kingdom in the ocean that houses spirits and entities. And I'm not going to get into that. This is not that type of show, but interesting stuff to say the least. And then the whole people in that area, after this pig farmer went and told them, they didn't want Jesus to come there anymore. And I can imagine there's I've heard a lot of different ideas on why. Maybe they were a big town on witchcraft and devils and such, and maybe that person that had the devils was a powerful person in their town. I don't really know of a lot of that, but thinking from the perspective of a normal human being, and these are all pig farmers, maybe they're all pig farmers, maybe everybody in the town's a pig farmer, and like Jesus just cast a bunch of devils and he lost all his pigs, and I'm sure he was pretty like freaked out, upset. I don't know. I would be freaked out, man. Like if some dude came and like cast a bunch of devils into my sheep and they flew off into the ocean, I would be freaked out, like no doubt about it, So to them, this wasn't a grandstand miracle. I'm sure that to them, they weren't even They weren't very happy about it. So let's go on to chapter 9 here. Let's get rid of this ad here. All right, in chapter 9, Jesus heals a paralytic. And it says that he entered into a ship and he passed over and came into his own city. And behold, they brought him a man sick of the palsy, laying on a bed. And Jesus, seeing their face, said unto the sick of the palsy, Son, be of good cheer, thy sins be forgiven thee. And behold, a certain of the scribes said within themselves, This man's blasphemeth. And Jesus, knowing their thoughts, said, Wherefore think ye evil in your hearts? For whether is easier to say, Thy sin be forgiven, or to say, Arise and walk? But that ye may know that the Son of Man hath power on earth to forgive sins. Then saith he to the sick of the palsy, Arise, take up thy bed, and go into thine house. And he arose and departed to his house. But when the multitude saw, they marveled and glorified God, which had given such power unto men. And I think about that. That's crazy, man. Like, he literally said that your sins are forgiven. And of course, knowing that these religious people heard this, or are going to hear about this later on, is crazy, because this is something definitely considered blasphemous. And the scribes believed that. And the scribes would have been powerful people at the time. Like, they would have been people who would have been revered within the assembly, would have been at the temple reading the literature, reading the Torah, reading the Talmud, whatever was around at the time. And that's who these scribes would have been. So they were thinking this was blasphemy, but they didn't realize that this, and he said, and let me just quote it again. It says, but that ye may know that the Son of Man hath power on earth to forgive sins. And so this was an important part of his ministry, proclaiming that he had the power to forgive sins, because really, ultimately, this is what healed this guy. He was able to forgive this guy's sins. And it makes you think about, like, a lot of the diseases, illnesses that we may have in our life. And I'm not saying all of them. I'm not a doctor, nor am I God or anything like that. But I know that I've seen people with sicknesses healed, people I prayed for, and there was unforgiveness in their heart, like big time. Like, it was like they were weeping, like weeping. I'm talking wailing, when they realized the unforgiveness they had, and they were able to be healed. And I think that the forgiveness too also plays a part in this, not only the faith, but the being able to forgive other people too. Because if you guys remember in the last week, it said that if you don't forgive others, then God won't forgive you. And so, like, this is an amazing tie-in to the ability that Christ has, not only to save people and not only to show us the way to walk, but also to forgive sins here on earth. So this is pretty cool, I thought. Anyways, here we go. Verse 9. And it says, And as Jesus passed forth from thence, he saw a man named Matthew sitting at the receipt of customs. And he said unto him, Follow me. And he arose and followed him. And it came to pass, as Jesus sat and ate meat in the house, behold, many publicans and sinners came and sat down with him and the disciples. And when the Pharisees saw, they said unto his disciples, Why eateth your master with publicans and sinners? But when Jesus heard that, he said unto them, They that be whole need not a physician, but they that are sick. But go ye and learn what that meaneth. I will have mercy and not sacrifice, for I am not come to call the righteous, but sinners to repentance. And this is a really foundational verse right here that just says so much. I mean, he was there, he was sitting with the people that came because they wanted the message. They wanted the message, they wanted to be around the light that he had. He was there bringing that to those people. And so, of course, the religious folk are like, who's this guy? Why is he talking to that guy? Like, why is he with that guy? Why is he on that dude's podcast? If it was a podcast world, why is he, taking that dude's invitation? Why is he doing this? But the thing is, like, when you are doing what we're doing, the people that think that they're righteous, they don't, they're not the ones that God ultimately came for. They're not the ones that he came for the lost sheep. He came for the sick. He came for those who already know that they are in need of forgiveness. I mean, some people don't believe they need forgiveness. That's true, whether you believe that or not. I've met people who don't believe that they've ever done anything wrong, even going by. Of course, they don't believe the law of God or the Ten Commandments or anything. But ultimately, it just says that he's coming for the people that have the humility to admit they have problems, and sometimes the sinners are the people that God send our way. And I think that we always worry about fellowship. Yeah, fellowship is great, but ultimately, like, if the people that are lost, if we're not doing them a service in some way, are we really doing what we're supposed to do? And we'll talk more about that, because I think at the end of this chapter it kind of sums up like the what are at stake here. And verse 14, it says, "Then came to him the disciples of John, saying, Why do we and the Pharisees fast oft, but thy disciples fast not? And Jesus said unto them, Can the children of the bride chamber mourn as long as the bridegroom is with them? But the days will come when the bridegroom shall be taken from them, and then shall they fast." So the Pharisees were, why don't you guys fast as often as we do? Why aren't you guys as good as we are? We can not eat for longer than you, so we must be more holy. And Jesus pretty much told them, like, you guys they don't even understand it because they didn't see what he was. But he's saying that, can the children of the bride chamber mourn? So can the children of this bride's chamber, the bridegroom, mourn? Like, how can that be possible? That we're here right now. Are we going to mourn? Are we going to fast? Because this is a time of feasting. I'm here. I'm literally here right now, kind of thing. So in verse 16, it says, "No man putteth a piece of new cloth unto an old garment, for that which is put into fill up taketh from that garment, and the rent is made worse. Neither do men put new wine into old bottles, else the bottles break, and the wine runneth out, and the bottles perish. But they put new wine into new bottles, and both are preserved." Verse 18, that's an interesting verse, by the way, if you really think about what that means. We're talking about being new, being made new, and the idea behind that. There's a lot of implications behind that verse right there. It says, "While he spake these things unto them, behold, there came a certain ruler and worshipped him, saying, My daughter is even now dead, but come and lay thy hand upon her, and she shall live." There's another faith kind of thing there. It says, "And Jesus arose and followed him, and so did his disciples. And behold, a woman which was diseased with an issue of blood 12 years came behind him, touched the hem of his garment. For she said within herself, If I may but touch your garment, I shall be whole." Another faith instance. Jesus didn't even know she was there until afterwards. It says, "But Jesus turned him about, and when he saw her, he said, Daughter, be of good comfort. Thy faith had made thee whole. And the woman was made whole from that hour. And when Jesus came into the ruler's house and saw the minstrels and the people making a noise, he said unto them, Give place, for the maid is not dead, but sleepeth. And they laughed him to scorn. But when the people were put forth, he went in and took her by the hand, and the maid arose. And the fame hereof went abroad into all that land." And so another instance of fame going across into all the land. This is gaining momentum quickly. And as you guys see, it didn't take long for Jesus to gain an audience with everybody, including the rulers of the land. Verse 27, "And when Jesus departed thence, 2 blind men followed him, crying and saying, Thou son of David, have mercy on us. And when he was come into the house, the blind men came to him, and Jesus said unto them, Believe that I am able to do this? They say unto him, Yea, Lord. Then touched he their eyes, saying, According to your faith be it unto you. Another, according to your faith. And their eyes were open, and Jesus straitly charged them, saying, See that no man know it. But they, when they were departed, spread abroad his fame in all that country." So another instance where fame is spread abroad. This guy probably, it's not that he wanted to disobey, but I can only imagine what it was like to be blind and then be able to see again, and just just be so grateful that maybe he didn't even hear that part. He was just like, I can freaking see, and I'm going to proclaim it to everybody. It's probably how I would be. Unfortunately, I wouldn't, probably wouldn't have heard that part after I'm able to see, and it's pretty amazing. Verse 32, it says, "And as they went out, behold, they brought to him a dumb man possessed with a devil. When the devil was cast out, the dumb spake, and the multitudes marveled, saying, It was never so seen in Israel. But the Pharisees said, He casteth out devils through the prince of devils." And so this is interesting too. We're talking about a person who's nonverbal, that it was associated that he had a devil, because, and that's why he couldn't speak. So very interesting there. And the Pharisees accused him of doing it through the power of the devil, not because he was doing it for good. And said, "And Jesus went about all the cities and villages, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom and healing every sickness and every disease among the people." So he's going to all the cities, all the villages. He's taking no prisoners. And then it says, "But when he saw the multitudes, he was moved with compassion on them, because they fainted and were scattered abroad as sheep having no shepherd. But said unto his disciples, The harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he will send forth laborers into his harvest." And so Jesus, knowing that what he has been doing has caused all that need something. They're all in need, every single one of them. He had compassion. He looked out on the crowd and he just saw compassion. And they were everywhere. And he realized that his work, even within that region, had to be distributed amongst workers, because the harvest was so big. There were so many people looking for that. And it's amazing to think like that. In America, sometimes it doesn't seem like that's even possible. But I will tell you, from going to foreign countries where it is not as common, this still happens. This still happens on a broad scale, where people are running to accept, crying, wailing, literally risking their lives to switch up what they believe, because there's so many out there in the world. And so this will wrap this chapter up, guys. I appreciate you joining me today. And I did it a little later this time at 1:12. It didn't seem to be a great time for a lot of people, so moved it a little bit. There's a few more people in here this time. I'll probably try to keep it right around this time. I'm just kind of like just seeing what's good for people. I know for noon it's really hard, because for a lot of people too, especially if you're getting done with a fellowship or if you're out doing something or whatever. So good time to do it. Hit the sub if you haven't. I'm going to keep doing these, and I do have another show coming to Now You See TV, guys. I'm developing it right now, getting it ready to where it's going to be something that is able to be done, that is good, that is really, really good. I don't want to just throw something out there to throw something out there. So I appreciate all of your guys' support, and I appreciate everything you guys do. Look, you guys be blessed, and I hope that you guys learned something through this. Hopefully it made an impact, and hopefully, if nothing else, you just got more interested in the word. So be blessed.